Believe in Everything Auburn is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline remains your number one source for all your college basketball betting this season, just in time for March Madness. Get analysis of every play, prop, and point at betonline.com. You'll find the latest odds, bracket contests, team matchups, and game trends at BetOnline. Updated odds for everything from live games, the conference championships, right through to the Final Four and championship game. BetOnline is your college basketball headquarters. Head to their website today or use your mobile device to sign up and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit if you use our promo code BELIEVE, that is BLEAV, to receive that 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline.ag, where the game starts. War Eagle, everybody. Welcome back to Believe in Everything Auburn. Taylor Davis and Jason Campbell here with you, as always, ready to break down everything Auburn athletics. It is spring break, people. Remember the days when you got a spring break? I miss it. So no spring break for us here on the podcast, though, because there's always something to talk about. Of course, at the forefront is basketball, as the Tigers will begin the SEC tournament play tonight. It's actually game day for us recording this. Not sure when you guys are listening to this, but the Tigers are beginning their quest for a potential SEC tournament championship. Definitely an uphill battle, but crazier things have happened. So we're going to talk about all that, catch up on a few other news and notes around the Plains. It'll really just be a catch-up episode, and then our goal is to get back into some interviews next week. So make sure you stick with us. We also say this every now and then, but real talk, find us on social media at Taylor Beth Davis, at JCam17. Where is there an underscore?
Yes, on Twitter it's JCam_17, and then on IG is JCampbell17.
Okay, JCampbell17 on IG. If you have any specific requests for us, whether it's interviews or topics you want us to talk about, this time of year it can really be collaborative with the listeners. So if y'all have a topic or a debate or an interview that y'all would like us to dive into, please let us know on social media, because we absolutely want to get y'all involved and try and bring whatever reality that y'all want to hear about to the podcast. So make sure you do that. But Jay, it's game day, and a big one at that for Auburn, with, you know, March Madness hopes still alive. And obviously the SEC has been a bit of an unpredictable conference this season on the basketball front, and Auburn certainly falls under that umbrella. The team we saw to start the season versus the team they kind of became a little ways through really emphasized in those close games, and you know that this tournament is going to be full of them. So let's dive in. What are you expecting for Auburn, the number 7 seed in the SEC tournament, starting out against the 10 seed in Arkansas?
Ooh, this is going to be a tough game. You know, Arkansas has kind of had Auburn's number over the last 2 years. Yeah. I think we're 1-3 against Arkansas. But when you think about it overall, you know, I think this is a great matchup for Auburn, because if you can you win this game tonight, then you get an A&M team that broke your 28 home game winning streak at home, and you get a revenge game. And so, yes, we're on the harder side of the bracket, but at the same time, this is a game that Auburn needs to win. I understand we got the 20 wins. I understand that, you know, I think that got us in the tournament. But you want to continue to improve and update your resume. And you don't want to be an 11 seed or a 13 seed. If you can get to an 8th or 9th seed by having a good showing in the tournament, I think this helps. And you know, Arkansas has a lot of confidence. You know, they have a lot of people respect their program. They played a tough schedule this year. They started the season off playing a tough schedule. And, you know, I think somewhere their net ranked is like 16. And so that goes to show you they're still a really good basketball team. They lost some close games, but this is a game that I think our outside shooting is going to have to be on. You know, we played a Tennessee team where, you know, we was able to hit some outside shots, but we was able to keep that game close. And then we did the opposite of what's happened to us in a couple of games that's been really close, is we giving away games. You know, this time we was able to put the pedal to the metal, finish the game, put the gas on and the pressure on Tennessee, make them have to made some tough shots down the stretch, and our guys was getting to the basket. And like I said, Wendell Green had a really good game. Williams, he does a really good job of shooting the ball. He hits those timely shots, those timely threes, and people don't really pay attention to that, but he does. And I think Flanagan, he was in attack mode last game. So I think if we can continue to pressure and attack and get more out of KD. KD is kind of up and down from an offensive standpoint. KD is my defensive guy. If I put KD in the game, I said, your number one thing is to stop their best scorer from a three-point shooter, like to stop their best shooter. Like, we're not worried about your points as much, but if you can get to the basket, get to the basket. But your priority, number one, is to play defense.
Right. I do feel KD, golly, he's just become such an anomaly for this program, because you have games where you're like this. I mean, it's talked about so often. He is a bull in a china shop. Like, you just don't know. He gets kind of erratic on the floor. And sometimes that can be very unnerving. And you're like, these games are too close for reckless play. And sometimes his play can be a little reckless. But then he comes up with these clutch shots, these crazy plays, and he is the energy for this team. Like, the whole persona of the team shifts when he's on the court. And so you can't not give him the opportunity, but sometimes you just scratch your head and you're like, oh, KD. But I mean, what a fun player he's been to watch. I mean, Zeb Jasper has been great. I mean, I think defensively, I think how he has come in and really kind of taken to his own role. Obviously, what Wendell has been is obvious, but I think that Zep has really kind of found his place as well. And look, it's going to be all hands on deck. I think what you and I have talked about in the past few weeks is that this team isn't that one star. This team doesn't have that one big name, that guaranteed shooter. So this has to be a team effort. I know that sounds like a dumb statement, but we've talked about the difference that teams with a Jabari, games can be different if you have that. And this team, it's all hands on deck. And for this Arkansas game in particular, look, they're a very good defensive team as well. So shots are going to be contested. That's their nature of play as well. There's honestly a lot of similarities between the two. Both coaches have coached well into NCAA tournaments. They've been, in these situations before. And like you said, a bit of a rivalry has developed between these two. So I think it's going to take everyone's best play and playing with that cohesion, because you don't have that fallback of just a lights out shooter.
Oh, yeah. These games always come down to the wire. I was watching all the tournament games today. I was watching just St. John and Marquette just before we got on. And, I'm just watching tournament. It seems like tournament play, everybody just raises their level up a notch. And I ask myself sometimes, where was this level during the season?
I know because it's kind of like 2-minute drills in football or 2-minute offense, when everyone drives down the field and you're like, why the frick haven't you been able to score all day, but 2 minutes left?
Yeah, it just almost seems like when pressure's on the line and you have to win or go home, it seems like everybody gets gritty. That extra fight for the loose ball, the extra, defensive play. They need a defensive stop. You go the extra mile to make sure you stay in front of a guy. So I always like SEC tournament. I always look forward to it. This year, it's a little bit different than us last year. Last year, we was a 1 seed, and, we didn't go into the tournament playing as well. This year, we're actually playing a little bit better coming off a Tennessee game. Like, let's face it, we played better in the last couple of games. We just haven't been able to close a lot of them.
Yeah.
So that's my confidence in this basketball team, is that if we're able to close a lot of those close games, which I hope we learned a lot, that when we do get in tournament play, it benefits us because we're used to it. It's not like, oh, we haven't played a lot of close games. That's been our narrative this year. It's close games. So I think this team is ready to roll. I look forward to seeing what they do tonight against Arkansas at 6 p.m. It's going to be rocking and rolling.
It will
like
be.
I said, nothing's ever easy, but I just think stopping their guard, Blank, I think is his last name, Arkansas's guard. He's a key to what they do offensively. He's a really good point guard, and has a high IQ level. And I just think swapping at KD and probably switching Flanagan on him. Just because I just think Wendell, you don't want to wear Wendell out, because you're going to need him late in games
down the stretch.
You're going to need him. So I'm putting Flanagan and I'm putting KD Johnson on him.
Yeah, I think Anthony Black is what I have.
Yeah,
typed.
Black. Anthony Blank. Yep.
Him as well as Nick Smith Jr. Those are kind of their two big names. Now, Nick Smith missed a large chunk of the season with injury, but he is back. They've kind of worked him in. It hasn't necessarily been the most seamless addition working him back in. I think they've only been 2 and 3 since he's been back, but definitely have star power, definitely have guys who know how to play in games like this. So I think it's going to be a really good matchup. I mean, look, any of them are going to be tough at this point, especially being kind of in that middle tier. Everyone's kind of similar in that regard. But I feel like we're in a good situation. Starting out with Arkansas, the winner of that one plays Texas A&M. Like, it does kind of feel like it's more favorable than what some of the options could have been for a path through the weekend. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Like you said, 6:00 Central. We are a 1.5 point underdog at this point, but 1.5 points. I mean, that just shows how close everyone expects this one to be. So make sure you tune in and cheer them on. And then hopefully there will be more games this weekend to follow them through. It would be Arkansas's 20th win of the season. We have clinched that, but it would be Arkansas's 20th. They finished their regular season on a 3-game losing streak. And obviously the Tigers pulled off the home win over Tennessee at home on Saturday.
And the fact that we've already been there just a couple of weeks ago, I think kind of bodes well for the guys to return back to Nashville.
So true.
And understand that, hey, there's a lot at stake here, but we're prepared for this game. And we're going to have the crowd there. Like, this could be a great weekend for Auburn. And so they just got to go up there and just, play relaxed. Don't play tight, but play smart basketball. We can't have all the early turnovers. We can't get in foul trouble. Hopefully Dylan is healthy enough to play to give Bruin a break when he needs one. And we not miss a beat because we saw his presence being lost in the Tennessee game. So you do need those guys. I wish they would play them together sometimes, just for a small time. But we haven't seen that yet all year. I wonder if Bruce would pull that out. So, let's just keep our eyes open. But I think this is going to be a great atmosphere for Auburn.
Yeah, you're right. I definitely agree. Yeah, Dylan has been practicing this week. I expect he's going to be able to go. How limited he'll be, restrictions on time, I'm not sure. But he has been back at practice, which is promising. Very excited for that one and the weekend to come. I will ask you, though, Jay, we'll just say, take Auburn out of it. Who would you predict comes away with the SEC tournament championship?
Oh, man, besides Auburn?
Besides Auburn. Auburn is not an option for you. I'll make it easy.
If Auburn's not an option, I'll probably go with, I can't even believe I'm saying this.
Don't do it.
Dang, Calipari in Kentucky.
Oh, wait, that's what I was going to say. I thought you were going to say Alabama, and that's why you didn't want to say it.
No.
You don't think?
No. Not because of everything that happened at Alabama, but because I watched their last few games. Auburn should have beat them.
100%.
I think there was 2 other teams that had them. Did Arkansas beat them? Arkansas should have beat them. Arkansas did.
A&M beat them.
A&M beat them, and Arkansas should have beat them. A lot of their last couple of games have become really, really close. So I think they're feeling a lot of the pressure. Some of it could be off-court stuff, but
good point.
I think a lot of it is, for me, is just, Kentucky sometimes have a way of showing up in tournament.
They do.
And, they've done it for years in the SEC. Even when it wasn't projected to go past the second round, they made it to the finals.
Yeah.
So, I would say Kentucky. What about you?
I'm with you there. Kentucky was my pick, especially after beating us by 30-something. I'm just going to say that's it. Okay. Quick recap of what baseball has been up to, just so everyone is aware. A come-from-behind win versus Jacksonville State yesterday, a win over UAB on Tuesday, and they will host Southeastern Louisiana this Friday through Sunday, a Georgia Tech matchup on Tuesday, and then they finally begin conference play. They will be heading to Fayetteville to play Arkansas next weekend, and we get into SEC play, and hopefully they'll have something to brag about because our basketball team will have taken them down this week. Also, gymnastics, the final home meet of the season is tomorrow night in Neville Arena. I know all the students are gone for spring break, so if you are in and around the Auburn area, this is the last home meet for Suni Lee and Darion Goborn and so many girls that have poured into this program and accomplished incredible things. So if you are nearby, make sure you go. Support the team. They will be hosting Penn State, and then the SEC championship will be next weekend for gymnastics as well, and that will be in Duluth, Georgia.
I just can't believe that much time has gone by that fast. Gosh, so I know they're not seniors, but they're getting ready to go, to compete for the Olympics. So,
well, Darion is actually a fifth year, so
she is a fifth year.
She's been there for a long time. But Suni, yeah, this is her sophomore season for all intents and purposes, but she is foregoing the rest of her college eligibility to pursue the 2024 Olympics in Paris. So for her to do that, this has to be her last year with NCAA, which is heartbreaking. But if you want to go check her out at Neville Arena, tomorrow is your last chance to do that. So make sure you go. Okay, let's talk about the combine and just kind of where things stand for football. Again, no spring practice this week because everyone is on spring break. But at the point that we had talked last week, they had 2 practices. They were going to be in pads again on Friday. The first scrimmage will be next week when they get back from spring break. But I mean, Jay, you certainly stay involved. You're well connected. Are you hearing anything coming out of spring ball? Anything that kind of excites you about how this team is approaching spring?
A lot of things excite me. One is the fan base seemed to be intrigued.
Very.
That's one thing. The other thing is the players, the roster has changed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
People don't realize, we lost, Tank Bisbee, we lost, Derek Hall, we lost Kobe Wooten, we lost Echo Leota, we lost Owen Papo. So you're talking about experienced guys that have gone through a lot here in their Auburn career over 4 years. So when you think about replacing those guys, you look at our defensive front: Justin Rogers, Lawrence Johnson, Mosaic Kite, Elijah McAllister. When you look at our linebacker core: Austin Keys, DeMario Tolan. That's like 7 new guys right there that you're going to see on that side of the ball. Then offensively, everyone's excited about. You have 2 big receivers. Your guy Camden Brown. And then you have Nick Martin, who sits, experienced receiver from Cincinnati. And then you throw in Javarius Johnson, you throw in Malcolm Johnson Kelly, just Malcolm. And then you throw, so you have talent all over the field, but then you look at the backfield, Jarquez, and you get the baddie kid from South Florida. Mm-hmm. And so you already have Damari Austin on the roster. So this thing is about to get really, really amped up. And spring ball, 15 practices is not enough. They was able to get a couple in before they went on spring break. Everyone's on spring break this week, relaxing. When they come back, they have 2 more weeks to get going. Mm-hmm. And everything's going to rev up a little bit. And you notice I haven't said anything about the quarterbacks. And I know everyone wants to hear about the quarterbacks. I feel like from that standpoint, that's always gets attention. But there's other positions I feel like this year that's going to be pivotal in us winning and being success. I really think our offensive line that was revamped is going to play a valuable role this year. And the 4 guys we picked up in the portal. And so I just think, with Too Tall and Avery Jones, and, I got Gunnar Britton, and then, Dylan Wade from Tulsa that came over with Coach Montgomery. So we have 3 big tackles. And one will probably end up playing guard. Avery Jones will be the center, experienced center that we was able to get from Illinois commit. So we have experienced guys that are new, but they're not freshmen. They're not sophomores. Right. They're juniors. They're seniors. So I'm excited to see what happens. Quarterback situation will iron itself out as we continue. We'll probably break that down on the next episode because we need to see more. I need to hear more. But from that standpoint, everyone's locked and loaded, and Coach Freeze is one voice, and it's not multiple voices. And I can tell that we will not finish last in the West. They did that to us baseball-wise last year, and we ended up in Omaha. Oh, so, so let that drive you and not deflate you.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that comes with the territory of so much newness. It's just a lack of expectation. And that's fine as long as the team has high expectations for themselves, which we are already seeing that they do. And guys that also have high expectations for themselves are the guys that will be pursuing the NFL in this year's draft. A few of them had the opportunity to go out to Indy this past week for the combine, and just a few results out of that one. So we did have 6 guys attend, but Eku Leota and Anders Carlson did not participate in drills, but they were interviewed by reps for various teams. So that is what they did. But we do have some quotes and different stats that have come out about the 4 guys that did participate in drills. And of course, as expected, the one getting a lot of praise and a lot of hype is Derek Hall. We have talked about just the expectation of his fit in the NFL and how his stock has risen. And he just continues to take advantage of opportunities like he did the Senior Bowl, and now he is done with the Combine. He is now in a bunch of mock drafts projected in the first round, 31st overall pick to Kansas City, which would be interesting. He apparently had an interview with Andy Reid while he was at the Combine and spoke very highly of the conversation that he had with him and the staff. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about a few quotes that came out about these guys, and I'll get you to kind of add your take on what people are seeing on these guys. Okay, we'll start with Tank Bigsby. Quote, runs with a nice blend of elusiveness and power, can quickly process movements of the defense. Fumbling has been a concern in the past, and he might not be much help on third downs or special teams. His size, creativity, and quickness could create an opportunity for teams to pair Bigsby with another back to form an effective tandem in a zone scheme rushing attack. Thoughts?
Well, that's pretty much what the NFL is nowadays. Yeah. It's a 2-back system. You very rarely see one running back being a workhorse. I probably think of one, Saquon Barkley right now.
That's good.
And Derrick Henry from Tennessee. But everybody else is pretty much running back by committee. One thing about Tank is you did see last year he didn't play a lot on third downs because Jarquez, they feel like was the better blocker. So, that's something that he's going to have to continue to improve on. And like I said, and taking care of the football, those are things that they watch. I always say, your eye test, you can pass that, but they always still go back to the film. And like I said, Tank is still young. Everyone got to realize he left out this junior season. So he still is in a great stage of development and growing. So, I think him paired up with the right team, like a Cincinnati Bengals, I think would be a great spot for him. I can see him fitting into that offense and having some success.
Okay, I like it. On to Derek Hall. Quote, explosive and long, Hall plays with a rugged demeanor and puts his traits to work as an assertive power rusher capable of putting offensive tackles in reverse. He tends to lack consistency when forced to read and react in the run game, and his rush approach is predictable with charges down the fairway. Thoughts?
Well, to me, this puts Derek in a really good situation with Kansas City.
It does.
The reason I say that because Kansas City plays in the AFC. When you're facing Josh Allen, Buffalo, who throws the football, you're facing Joe Burrow with Cincinnati, who throws the football. The only rushing team is Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, but you really don't understand where they are with a contract right now. Yeah. And then Pittsburgh Steelers is the other rushing team, and they're still trying to figure out what they have from their young quarterback. So you're gearing up to put him in a division where it's not about stopping the run. It's about getting after the passer and getting sacks. And that's why Buffalo brought in Von Miller last year, was for that reason. And then, fortunately, he got hurt before the playoffs. So they end up losing to who? Cincinnati, because they couldn't get to Joe Burrow. So you get a guy like Derek Hall to push back tackles in the backfield, to make the quarterback step up into your defensive line to get the sack. So I do like him in Kansas City as well as another passing team that throws the ball a lot, maybe like the Chargers.
I like that take a lot. I definitely agree with you there. And of course, other notables that were mentioned about him were character, effort, things that we have certainly known. And he showcased that through the entirety of his college career, whether his team was thriving or not. That is what you will get in a D Hall. I think he will do very well at the next level. Owen Papo. Impressive, again, with effort. Impressive effort, undersized, struggles to leverage the gaps and take on climbing blockers effectively. So a move to will linebacker should allow him to play more run and chase, which suits him. Doesn't look like an NFL starter, but third down and special teams potential will give him an initial shot at a backup role. thoughts?
Well, when you base it off size, you think about the NFL, it is a 17-game season and 3 preseason games. So you're talking about 20 games that, size doesn't matter in some positions. And the thing about Owen, he ran one of the fastest times at the combine.
Sure
so that he showcased his speed and his agility, which helps him when it comes to the passing game and in the NFL, which has become a more pass-happy league. I would have said 10 years ago, it'd have been hard for him because it'd have been more run downhill. And you got to take on these big linemen and big backs. But now with the way that it's a passing league, it's opened up a lot of doors for linebackers like him that can flow from sideline to sideline. So I think with him going to will linebacker, he's going to have a great chance to make someone's roster. And it may have to come off special teams from the start. But then initially it can move on over where it becomes him playing on third downs and then working his way up to being an every down linebacker. So, it's just predicated on what team, and what their roster looks like.
Right. And again, with the effort and the character, I think that those guys certainly showcase that at the forefront, and what he has been for Auburn won't be overlooked, as well as the fact that he did miss a substantial amount of time with injury. And we talk about how that limits the tape that guys have on him, but that also does have an impact on your physicality. The amount of time that he had out of the weight room, away from drills, like continued time and effort and into a strength and conditioning program in the league. Right. I mean, that'll just add on. But yeah, like you mentioned, he actually was one of the event's top overall performers, a 4.39 second 40, which was the best among all linebackers that were at the combine. And finally, Colby Wooden, quote, he has a quick first step to attack gaps and threaten the pocket, but he's unable to sit down and drop a deep anchor against bullies in the run game. Wooden's activity level and hand skill are the keys to his current and future success. They allow him to keep pressure on blockers from snap to whistle. High football character and scheme versatility could make Wooden a day 2 selection and future starter with above average interior rush potential. I think he came away with it with the most, all of these guys have positive feedback and things out there about him. I think that Colby came away from the combine with an increase in positive feedback coming out about him. I think people were still kind of like, where's this guy fit? What's this guy's strength? Like a little bit of questions about him. He came away from the combine with a lot of praise, a lot of increased intrigue in him, which is the position you want to be in coming out of the combine.
Yeah, it's different for Kobe. Kobe has a lot of sides, and as people say, meat and potatoes. So he's able to get in there and get in with the big guys and be physical. So for him, it definitely fits him like a Pittsburgh Steelers. A team that runs a defense that it's not all about getting out the passer, because you have that other guy on the other side that can do that already. J.J. Watt's brother, T.J. Watt. You have him, so you need someone on the other side that can kind of shear up that side, as far as like maybe not being a every down rush, but your first and second down as a run stopper. And then you can bring in someone on third down to rush the passer. So Kobe's in a good situation. Even the Tennessee Titans may be a good spot for him as well.
So at this point, Jay, when you're coming off the combine and you get feedback like that, do you do anything with it? Like, do you go to whoever you're training with at this point with those specific elements? Do you start really trying to crank those out before your pro day? Or what do you do with that as a player? Is it more for scouts, or do the players do something with it?
Well, the most important thing is not a lot is going to change between now and draft day that you can do from a workout standpoint. Sure. Most teams are going to draft you off what they see off tape, and all of those things that we was going through when you talk about it was basically off what they see on film, and everything. So that's what they already have gathered. Only thing you could do is help yourself in a workout is just showing your agility a little bit faster, your speed a little bit faster than what they probably could have thought it was. Some guys play faster on film than they do in workouts. Some guys do faster in workouts and they play on film. And I think it's already slotted where you're kind of going to be drafted. Now you can help yourself. Maybe all you got to do is blow one team out the water. For most part, it's like, hey, I know you may be kind of in the middle on me and not sure. You want to kind of take me, but not sure. But maybe your character that you show in those interview meetings, maybe they give you an opportunity to, hey, I hit it off with that coach and that GM really well. And maybe they leave there impressed with you and want to give you an opportunity when your name is called. So I do think a lot of these guys have to be receptive to certain criticism, not look at it as, oh, I'm a bad player. No, you're getting a chance to play in the National Football League, which a lot of kids don't ever get that chance because you are an exceptional athlete. So just take some of those things they say and try to work on them. But these are not geniuses as well. They miss all the time,
That's so true.
and everything. So what people don't realize is I tell people all the time, I played in the NFL. A lot of times it's about the fit and where you're at. If you get on a program that's a losing franchise and and it's just a revolving door, it is extremely hard to showcase and everything. But if you end up in teams like Kansas City, teams that's been good for years, I'm not talking about just in and out, but good for consistently years. Like you take Philadelphia, for example, Jalen Hurts. Jalen got a great surrounding cast, and it gave him time to develop, to catch up with some of the stuff they was doing. But some guys get thrown into a bad situation where you don't have that surrounding cast and you don't have time to play catch up, and you're in and out of there very quickly. So I think these guys just need to put their all down there, work extremely hard, and not get caught up in emotionally, and don't worry about all the stuff you can't control. And I think they'll be in good shape. And don't let the draft, whether you draft in the first round, 7th round, or undrafted, don't let that dictate your future or mess with your confidence. Because at the end of the day, you know this, I know this. It is a business. And I tell these guys all the time, it's not going to be like college. Like, it is a business. So, don't let your feelings get caught up. Why they ain't take me in this round? What don't. It's a business.
Yes. You say that every year around this time. It's something that you really care about, because you're absolutely right. It doesn't dictate how you're going to perform in the league. It doesn't tell the full story of what you're going to accomplish, because how many guys have we seen get drafted first 5 picks that don't become anything, and the opposite can be true too. Several free agents end up with 8-year careers. So it's definitely about what you do with the opportunity that you're granted, not just the opportunity. So all of those guys will do it.
I will say this though. The one guy that has to have a real important pro day is Echo Leota.
Yeah.
And
he hasn't been able to show much.
He hasn't been able to show much. And he went to the Senior Bowl, but he missed the last 4 to 5 games of the season. So how much football shape were you in? You know what I'm saying? And I think Carson is another one. I think as far as kicking, because I think he kicked unhealthy all year. I don't think he was ever fully healthy. So I just think those 2 guys have more to show on pro day than the others.
You're right, especially since they didn't get the opportunity to show anything at the combine. Now, those relationships, those interviews, the networking component of the combine is certainly valuable, but you're right. There is more for them to show at Pro Day just because of how their last couple of months have been individually. So, but nonetheless, with that, we will say goodbye here on Believe in Everything Auburn. As always, we greatly appreciate you guys listening and following along. We are going to start adding some variety. We're going to change a few things up. So make sure you stay tuned. Stick with us for exciting changes that are coming. And like we said at the beginning, make sure you hit us up on social media so that you can be involved in the structure of our show as well. So everyone have a fantastic week. Enjoy the SEC tournament this weekend. We'll be back next week to break it all down. As always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.